Well, well, well. Looky what we have here. The thought, the saying, "I told you so," definitely comes to mind here when you say, it's almost as if I was right. Yours truly, Spot of Nerd, has been right this whole time. But no, he hates women. Everything in that line, everything in those comments was all wrong. Hashtag Luke Skywalker, The Last Jedi.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
Because Wonder Woman 84 has been a lot of disappointment, a lot of bad reviews, and a lot of fans that simply were not impressed. So join me in this special 80th episode from Spot of Nerd as we talk about the sequel, the one that we've been waiting for, Wonder Woman 84. Now, all jokes aside, this is a fictional movie. It's sad that I have to keep reminding people that just because I thought it was absolute hot trash doesn't mean anything other than the fact that I thought it was a terrible fucking movie. If you enjoyed Wonder Woman 84, that's great, not denying it. So how I'm gonna break this episode down, I've got my handy dandy tablet here because I've obviously taken many notes while I was watching Wonder Woman 84 just to go into detail as to what makes this movie even worse than the first film. It is now worse than DC's Green Lantern featuring Ryan Reynolds.
Ah, green! Wow. I know, right?
How the fuck can you do that? Wonder Woman 84 did it. It's very similar to even the Star Wars universe where you look at the prequel trilogy like The Phantom Menace. How can you make a worse film than that? And then the sequel trilogy. Rian Johnson, or as I like to call Ruin Johnson, said, "Hold my beer," and made The Last Jedi. There's so many metaphors, there's so many nouns, there's so many explicitives to use. It's almost sad because, all joking aside, you know me, I thought I was gonna go into it like, oh, he's just gonna hate it no matter what. But now, I have the internet backing me up in terms of just how fucking horrible this film really was. So it's not just me now, it's everybody. It's the majority who literally saw this film on Christmas Day 2020 and was like, wow, this movie fucking sucked. To the world, to the internets, to the trolls, to everybody in between, thank you for finally agreeing with me because I was right the first time. Anyway, let's get into the thick of it. I want to break this review down into 3 parts. The story, the characters, and the overall. And what I mean by overall is comparing Wonder Woman 84 to like essentially the first film, comparing it to the DC franchise, breaking it down into the story. This is where the start of failure happens. The entire basis. Oh, fair warning, if you haven't seen Wonder Woman 84, you might want to look away. I will be spoiling the hell out of this, so this is your spoiler warning. I'm gonna pretty much be giving you everything that you need to know about the film to save you either paying for it to watch it or going into seeing it in theaters, unless you have HBO Max, which you can now watch for the next 30 odd days. The entire film is based off of a stone that provides wishes. That's what they came up with. You have decades worth of comic book material, but let's make a movie about a rock that grants wishes. Oh, and here's the best part. When you grant a wish, you have to give up something that you love or something that's really like you adore and you're is a part of you. I remember a Simpsons episode did this once with a monkey paw.
Yeah, what is this thing?
It is a monkey's paw dating back to Alal bin Abdallah. It has the power to grant wishes to its owner.
Oh, yeah? How much?
Sir, I must strongly advise you do not purchase this. Behind every wish lurks grave misfortune. I myself was once president of Algeria.
Come on, pal, I don't want to hear your life story. Paw me!
that had a better story arc. Like, holy fuck. Sometimes there's no words to describe stupidity. There's no words to describe the sheer amount of lazy writing, but fuck does this take the cake. Then let's go on to the fact that this movie was more boring than spending a day at the DMV. You would get more attention, more enthusiasm, more excitement watching paint dry. It's lackluster. To describe this movie in one word, sloppy. And what I mean by that is so many different reasons that I wish I could go on, but I'm only limited to so much time here without boring you or whatever. It is atrocious in terms of the CGI, the way that it is filmed, the on-location scenes, the character interactions, the 1980s aspects. Stranger Things did a superior job representing the 80s and 90s than this film ever could. And this film had probably a budget 100 times what Stranger Things has. Literally, look at Marvel. Marvel has set the stage for you for the last 10 plus years on how to make a good franchise, on how to write a multi-universe, but you're still not getting it. And Wonder Woman was kind of your niche, you know, it was that one thing that you could potentially drive success with, but you took it and you were like, let's see how we can fuck this up. It's insulting to the actors and actresses, because I've said it before, Gal Gadot, she's amazing. She is the perfect Wonder Woman character, and leave it to Hollywood and the directors to completely throw that character down the toilet. Shame on you, DC. Shame, shame, shame. So obviously that leads us into the characters. The Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, plays the bad guy, who is essentially a nobody that turns into the Wishmaker because he wishes that he had the power of the wishing. And he basically wants to make wishes come true for everybody on the planet so that he gets all the power, they lose everything else. The world goes to shit because, of course, when you make a wish, like I said, bad things happen, and that's that. The character is a disaster. Mix it with everybody else, even the cat, her name is Barbara. She is Cheetah, which in the comic books is a pretty decent villain. And this is one of those instances where you have so much content, such amazing backstory through comic book history. You take a character so amazing and somehow you turned it into Pee Wee Herman. Mad Dog! You turn it into Ronald McDonald. Only DC and Patty Jenkins can do that. Kristen Wiig, she's a famous actress. You know, she's been in many movies, SNL, the whole 9 yards. And though I don't knock her performance, I do knock the backdrop, the backstory, because it's wasted. It's completely wasted. She does take a little bit more of a serious role in this film, so that's a little bit hard to grasp. It's disastrous in a way that, imagine taking one of your most favorite characters. And yeah, I'm talking about villains, because sometimes your villains are your favorite characters. Imagine taking your villain and putting a little top hat on him and making him dance. And then last but not least, Chris Pine, aka Steve, is back from the dead. Holy fuck. The sheer lack of just inspiration, innovation, story arc. Chris Pine's character Steve comes back from a wish that Wonder Woman makes, and he basically is put into somebody else's body. And as you might imagine, where's the bad side? Where's the drawback from that? Well, in order to get Steve back, she has to give up her powers. Shocking. Didn't see that one coming. So blah blah blah. The end of the movie, you know, in order to gain her strength back, she has to give up Steve, and she saves the world, blah 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 blah. Sure, many of you could look at that side of the film and see inspiration and positivity, because, you know, the truth is what matters. The truth will set you free. We don't need these wishes to be selfish human beings. My point here is, Steve should have remained dead. This is where the nerdy side, the comic book side, Steve should have remained dead. There is literally no reason this character needed to come back. Let him die. But the way they did it just is lazy. It is embarrassing. But like I've said before, this time I'm getting backed up by others around the world that have seen this film. This isn't like a one-off that I'm the only person now that sees just how atrocious these films are. Finally, you're starting to see what I've been seeing all along. Terrible writing, terrible character development, terrible CGI, terrible everything. So go ahead and knock me, but you can't deny it when the truth is staring you right in the face. Okay. The third thing I want to talk about just is the overall, the Wonder Woman 84, how it felt. Everything in between. In comparison to the first film, they have actually worked on a few things that I've mentioned before that they actually corrected, but made even worse. The first film's about 2.5 hours, could have been an hour 15 if you sped up the sheer amount of slow-mo scenes. The second film does not do that. What does it replace it with? Sliding and George of the Jungle whip thingies going, swinging across countries and states and everything in between. I'm not fucking kidding. It's just hilarious. Half of this movie is just characters, Wonder Woman just sliding around like they're on ice. And she's just fucking George of the Jungle going through time and space, through the earth, whipping her little whip thing and just fucking bouncing off of everything. It's hilarious. The disappointment of taking some of the most amazing concepts from the comics, putting them into the live action film, but just wasting it. Prime example was the invisible jet. If you know Wonder Woman, she's got an invisible jet. And how do they do it in this film? She basically says, I'm gonna make this thing invisible. Poof. I mean, seriously, such amazing traits from a character, such amazing abilities. And you just basically say, yeah, she can just touch it and make it invisible. And then you have one of my favorite pieces I always like talking about, the CGI. You would think that going from the first film to the second film, they might have worked on the CGI. Nope, it's worse. Have you ever seen those claymation movies back in the 1960s, 1970s? Those were better. Just look at when she flies. Again, spoiler, she learns how to fly in this film. And you would think when you're out up in the sky and, you know, above the clouds, there's a lot of wind resistance. I mean, we've seen it everywhere. Man of Steel. Intense when you're flying and being a superhero. It looks like a fucking L'Oreal shampoo commercial with Wonder Woman 84. It's as if somebody with just a little straw is going as her hair goes back forward. I literally was waiting for the credits to go, maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. And then last but not least, just kind of an overall take on Wonder Woman 84. The end credit scene does feature the original Wonder Woman, who will, I'm assuming later will be portrayed as Asteria, who was originally the Wonder Woman that grabbed that gold armor. Another wasted element of the film. Through the trailer you think, wow, she's got this super badass gold armor, and they even in the film, for about 10 seconds they describe the history behind it, to where you're like, wow, this could be pretty cool. And once again, they just throw a flamethrower on it. I wasn't excited. I wasn't thrilled. I wasn't impressed. Sure, I had some expectations, not many coming from the first one, but I thought they might have done a little better job. Sure. But instead, they did the complete opposite, which is astounding because you would think DC would learn by now how to make a good fucking film. The Wonder Woman character is phenomenal. She is amazing. She is powerful. She's a goddess. She is everything. It's humanity. It's what she is. She's positive. She's enlightening. She's an inspiration. And I thought these films would have given us more. I thought these films would have given us something to look forward to be excited about, and they're not. You know, I blame the directors, Patty Jenkins. I blame DC. You make fucking horrible films, plain and simple. I would encourage you not to watch it. Save yourself 2.5 hours. If you do watch it, don't expect much at all, if anything. And if you would enjoy it, hey, hats off to you. You know, we all have different flavors and different loves and interests and things like that. But from the nerd, from the fanboys to the fangirls, I would tell you that just stop. You need to take a step back, reinvent what the hell you're trying to accomplish, because you are failing miserably with these films and these movies and the franchise, the DC universe as a whole. DC nailed Superman after 30 years, nailed it perfectly. Man of Steel. So this is what I don't understand, that DC, you can do it, but for some reason you choose not to. Anywho, thank you all so much for watching. We're gonna wrap this up. I could talk for hours about this, details, blah 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 blah. If you like this video, I would super appreciate, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down below. Give us a thumbs up. The little thumb likey thing, would greatly appreciate that as well. Tell me what you thought. Like I've said, throw it down in the comments. We are currently on Instagram as well as Parler, so hit us up there. And with that, we will see you all. Episode 80, can you believe it? 80 fucking episodes. But we will see you guys next time. Later, y'all. So you want to know, like, literally what the worst part of this film was? It's on the story side of it. So you've got the wishing wish, and you've got everybody making wishes, has to give up something, and the world's going to hell because, you know, we're in the 80s and it's the end of the Cold War, yada yada yada. Do you know who knows the most information about this rock? A guy from Galaxy Records. Like I've said, lazy writing. A knowledge of this famous rock that grants you wishes from the gods. A guy from Galaxy Records knows more about it than anybody else. Seriously, I'm not joking. That is how this was written. Once again, DC, great job.